2 weeks before my sales commission was set to be paid out on a $2 million deal I'd spent 8 months securing, my boss terminated my employment. "We're restructuring the territory," he said, avoiding my gaze. "Your role is no longer needed." I expressed gratitude for the opportunity and left without argument. That night, I made a single phone call that changed everything. In Marcus Reed's office at Veltrix Optics, I sat across from him as he pushed a termination letter toward me. The ink was barely dry on the $2 million contract I just finalized with Horizon Innovations. "I understand," I said, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside. "Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Cassandra Doyle, a 36-year-old senior sales executive in Plano, Texas, and I'd just been stripped of the largest commission of my career. For 8 months, I'd poured my heart into winning Horizon Innovations as a client. I'd taken 12 cross-country flights, endured 43 rounds of negotiations, tailored countless presentations, and forged a deep connection with their CEO that transcended business. Now, just 2 weeks before my commission was due, Marcus deemed my position obsolete. As I cleared out my desk, I felt the eyes of my colleagues on me, some filled with sympathy, others with relief that they'd escaped my fate. Marcus had chosen the perfect moment. 4 p.m. on a Friday, when most executives were already off to their weekend golf outings. A classic move from the corporate playbook. "I'm so sorry, Cassandra," murmured Violet from accounting as she passed by. "Everyone knows this is wrong." I gave her a small smile, keeping my composure. "It's just business, isn't it?" But it wasn't just business, it was personal. The Horizon deal wasn't just another account. It was the culmination of my 15-year career. That commission was meant to cover my mother's medical bills from an unexpected surgery the previous year. Marcus was well aware of this. Just last month, over drinks, he'd toasted my near success in closing the deal. I took a final look at the office where I'd spent 5 years of my life, then walked out with my head high. In the elevator, I glanced at my phone and saw a message from Jonah Freeman, Horizon's CEO. "Dinner still on for Wednesday to celebrate the partnership?" A faint smile crossed my lips. Marcus didn't realize that business wasn't just about contracts and figures, it was about relationships. Over the past 8 months, Jonah and I had built a bond rooted in mutual respect. He'd shared stories about his kids. I'd confided my dream of launching my own consultancy one day. In my car, I made a choice. This wasn't the end. For 5 years, I'd been one of Veltrix's top performers, building my client portfolio from the ground up and turning underperforming accounts into successes. Last year alone, I generated $4.3 million in new business. The sales awards and plaques now packed in a box in my trunk were proof of my achievements. But Veltrix had been shifting. 3 months ago, Gregory Hansen became CEO, bringing Marcus Reed as the new vice president of sales. Rumors of restructuring to maximize shareholder value began circulating, corporate jargon for cutting costs. I'd seen the red flags but ignored them. The canceled sales retreat, the revised commission structure that always seemed to pay less, the push to transfer client relationships to the account management team. My colleague Thomas had warned me over lunch. "They're phasing out the veterans, Cass. Replacing us with new grads they can pay half as much." I didn't think it would happen to me, not with my track record, not with the Horizon deal so close to completion. My father always said, "In business, loyalty is a two-way street." He'd spent 30 years at one company, rising from the mailroom to management. But that era was gone. Today's corporate world rewarded people like Marcus, who saw employees as disposable. Driving home, I called my mother but couldn't bring myself to tell her I'd been fired. Not when I'd promised to help with her medical bills. "How's my superstar?" she asked brightly. "Just fine, Mom," I replied, forcing cheer into my voice. "How are you feeling?" "Better than yesterday, worse than tomorrow," she said, her usual quip since her surgery. After hanging up, I sat in my parked car, staring at my condo building, plotting my next move. My severance would cover 3 months of expenses, but without the commission, I'd need to tap into savings for Mom's next payment. I scrolled through my contacts to Jonah's name. Our weekly dinners during negotiations had become a ritual. He valued authenticity, which had drawn Horizon to Veltrix, or rather, to me. I hesitated briefly before dialing. Jonah answered after 2 rings. Cassandra, I was just thinking about you. Still on for Wednesday? Absolutely, I said. But there's something we need to talk about. Wednesday evening, I arrived early at La Cantra, an upscale Plano restaurant where Jonah and I had celebrated the verbal agreement 2 weeks earlier. I chose a private corner table and ordered Jonah's favorite Cabernet. When he arrived, his smile faded as he sensed my mood. Something's off, he said, taking a seat. I took a deep breath and laid out the facts. I'd been let go 2 weeks before my commission was due on the deal I'd built from the ground up. No dramatics, no pleas, just the truth. That's despicable, Jonah said, his face darkening. It's just business, I echoed, the phrase now bitter on my tongue. No, Jonah replied, setting his glass down firmly. Business is about trust and relationships. Without those, it's just theft in a suit. Coming from the CEO of a $500 million tech company. His words carried weight. What's your next step? He asked. I've had an offer from Crystalline Systems, I said, naming a key Veltrix competitor. They've been after me for years. Jonah nodded, his mind clearly working. Our contract with Veltrix has a 14-day rescission clause, I added. Either party can back out without penalty. You know that, we reviewed it together. I wasn't asking him to cancel. The choice had to be his, based on his company's interests. Jonah looked at me for a long moment, then picked up his phone. Harold, he said to his legal counsel, pull the Veltrix contract. I want to invoke the rescission clause tomorrow morning. He paused, listening. Yes, I'm sure. And clear my morning for a call with their leadership. After hanging up, he turned to me. This isn't just about your commission, Cassandra. You promised to personally oversee implementation during our talks. That was a key reason we signed. I nodded, a weightlifting. Crystalline's products are better suited for your needs, I said honestly. Their optical components have longer warranties, and their design team has more experience with your applications. When can you start there? Jonah asked. Monday. They're eager to have me. Good, Jonah said, raising his glass. I look forward to their proposal next week. As we dined, discussing his daughter's college plans and my mother's recovery, I felt no glee or malice, just quiet confidence that integrity still mattered in a world where loyalty was scarce. By the time the bill arrived, the first step of my response to Marcus's betrayal was underway. Not vengeance, justice. The next morning my phone rang at 7 a.m. It was Marcus. I let it go to voicemail. He called 3 more times before I answered. Cassandra, he said, sounding frantic. We need to talk. Marcus, my position was eliminated, remember? I replied, my tone light, as if discussing the forecast. Horizon just canceled their contract. Jonah Freeman personally called Gregory and pulled out. His voice tightened. Did you have anything to do with this? How could I? I don't work for Veltrix anymore. His tone shifted to persuasion. There's been a mix-up. We want you back, same role, better pay. The territory restructure is on hold. I nearly laughed at the obvious ploy. That's kind of you, Marcus, but I've accepted a position with Crystalline. I start Monday. The silence was heavy. Crystalline? You can't, your non-compete. Doesn't apply when I'm terminated without cause. I cut in. Page 4, paragraph 3 of my contract. I checked with my lawyer yesterday. Another pause. What did you tell Freeman? The truth. I was fired right after securing his business. Damn it, Cassandra, he snapped, his composure cracking. Do you know what you've done? The board is furious. This was a critical deal for the quarter. That sounds tough, I said, feeling oddly calm. I'll let you go so you can deal with it. Good luck, Marcus. As I hung up, Violet texted. Office is a mess. Gregory called an emergency meeting. Marcus looks like he's unraveling. I didn't reply. Instead, I drove to Crystalline's sleek headquarters for a meeting with their leadership. The modern glass building stood in sharp contrast to Veltrix's dated office park. Eleanor Walsh, Crystalline's CEO, who'd been recruiting me for years, greeted me warmly. Welcome aboard, Cassandra, she said, her handshake firm. We're excited to have you. Eleanor led me to a conference room where the executive team waited. Cassandra comes to us from Veltrix, she announced, and she's already making an impact. Horizon canceled their Veltrix contract this morning. The executives exchanged looks. "We have a brief window here," Eleanor continued. "Cassandra has a relationship with Horizon's CEO. We need to act fast to pitch our solution before their procurement team considers other vendors." I spoke up. "I've scheduled a tentative meeting with Jonah for next Wednesday. He's expecting our proposal." Eleanor's smile widened. "Excellent. Let's make it compelling." Over the next 3 days, I collaborated with Crystalline's product team to craft a tailored package for Horizon. Unlike Veltrix's generic approach, we customized every detail to their needs. The pricing I proposed was lower than Veltrix's, with better terms and stronger warranties. "This could be a $2.5 million deal," the finance director noted, reviewing my figures. "With potential to grow to $4 million in 2 years, I added. By Monday afternoon, my phone held 8 voicemails from Marcus and 3 from Gregory, each more urgent than the last. The final one came as I left Crystalline's office. "Cassandra, this is Gregory Hansen. Whatever Crystalline's offering, we'll top it. Name your price. We need you back." I deleted it without a reply. Some bridges weren't worth rebuilding. Wednesday brought unexpected tension. Despite my confidence in Crystalline's superior offering, years in sales taught me nothing was certain until the ink was dry. As our team prepared to meet Horizon, I received a text from an unknown number. "It's Thomas, using Violet's phone. Urgent. Marcus is meeting Jonah right now, offering 30% discount plus free implementation." My stomach sank. Marcus was making a desperate play. I showed Eleanor the message. "Can we head over now?" I asked. "We need to get ahead of this." She nodded and we left immediately. At Horizon's headquarters, the receptionist said Jonah was in a meeting but had instructed us to wait in conference room B. Walking through the familiar halls felt surreal, like revisiting a dream. When we entered, I froze. There sat Jonah, and Marcus looking smug alongside Gregory, who seemed startled by our arrival. "Cassandra," Jonah said, standing with a warm smile. "Perfect timing. These gentlemen from Veltrix were just explaining why we should reconsider canceling." Marcus's confidence faltered as I introduced Eleanor and the Crystalline team. "We thought this was an exclusive meeting," Gregory said, his tone sharp. "I invited both parties," Jonah replied evenly. "I believe in informed choices." What followed was the strangest presentation of my career. Marcus pitched Veltrix's concessions, price cuts, extended warranties, free training, while I presented Crystalline's carefully crafted solution. Jonah listened, asking occasional questions but revealing nothing. When both sides finished, he thanked us. "This has been illuminating. I'll need to consult my team before deciding." In the parking lot, Marcus cornered me. "You won't get away with this," he hissed. "You don't know what you're up against." "I'm up against someone who fired me to dodge my commission," I replied calmly. "I think I know exactly what's at stake." His face reddened. "It wasn't personal. It was business. And this is my business decision," I said, nodding toward Horizon's building. "May the best solution win." Back at Crystalline, Eleanor was optimistic. "You did great in there. Freeman was more engaged during your pitch." "He's thorough," I cautioned. "He won't decide based on charm." 2 tense days passed. Then on Friday afternoon, Jonah called. "We've made a decision. Can you come to my office at 4 p.m.? The drive to Horizon felt like navigating a battlefield. Had Marcus's discount swayed Jonah's team? When I arrived, I was ushered to Jonah's office, where only he and his team waited. No Veltrix representatives. "Cassandra," Jonah said, "explain to our team how Crystalline's optical sensors will integrate with our systems." For an hour, I outlined the implementation, addressing technical questions. When we finished, Jonah stood and offered his hand. "We're going with Crystalline. The contract is being prepared." Relief flooded me, followed by professional calm. "You won't be disappointed. The product is exceptional." "I know," Jonah said, "but just as important is working with people who value integrity." A month later, in my new corner office at Crystalline, I reviewed the finalized $2.5 million Horizon contract, with room for expansion. My commission would exceed what I'd have earned at Veltrix, with a better payout structure. Violet texted updates. Marcus was on administrative leave pending a review of his practices, and 3 other sales executives had quit in solidarity with me. Veltrix's stock had fallen 11% after losing Horizon and other departures. The most gratifying moment came that morning via an email from Harold, Horizon's legal counsel, forwarding a message from Jonah to his executives. Our choice to partner with Crystalline over Veltrix wasn't just about price or specs. It was about aligning with a company that shares our values. Veltrix's decision to terminate Ms. Doyle right after she secured our business, explicitly to avoid her commission, exposed their true character. Such short-sighted greed doesn't fit our long-term goals. Crystalline, by contrast, recognizes and invests in talent and integrity. That's the business instinct we value. I printed the email and pinned it to my wall, not as a prize, but as a reminder of what mattered in business. Eleanor stopped by that afternoon. I just spoke with Bedford Industries. Their procurement officer heard how we won Horizon and wants to discuss switching their business to us. I raised an eyebrow. Bedford? They've been with Veltrix for years. 7 years, Eleanor confirmed. Worth $1.8 million annually. They're worried about Veltrix's stability and leadership. Word was spreading. Marcus's actions weren't just a personal betrayal. They were becoming an industry cautionary tale. That evening, my assistant forwarded a voicemail from Gregory Hansen. Cassandra, Marcus Reed is no longer with Veltrix. His actions weren't approved by me or the board. We'd like to discuss your return. Please call. I deleted it without hesitation. My new office overlooked Plano's skyline. My team was talented and driven. My compensation included equity in a company that prioritized relationships over short-term gains. Best of all, my mother's doctor had called that morning. Her latest tests showed progress, and with my new salary, I'd moved her to a top specialist not covered by her insurance. Reflecting on the past 5 weeks, I realized I hadn't sought revenge against Marcus. I'd simply let his actions catch up with him. I didn't destroy Veltrix. They'd weaken themselves by valuing profit over people. My phone buzzed with a text from Jonah. Implementation team says we're ahead of schedule. Dinner next week to celebrate? Absolutely, I replied. First round's on me. My father's words about loyalty being mutual lingered. While the corporate world had evolved, some truths endured. Integrity, relationships, and the fact that how you treat others always comes back to you. 6 months later, I stood at a podium, accepting the Sales Executive of the Year award at an industry conference. In the audience, I spotted Gregory, who gave a strained smile when our eyes met. My speech was short, emphasizing ethics and relationship building in business. I didn't mention Veltrix or my departure. There was no need. The industry knew the story. Success in sales isn't just about deals, I concluded. It's about creating partnerships where everyone benefits. When we lose sight of that, we're not professionals, we're just transaction machines. The applause was rewarding, but the conversations afterward were more meaningful. Colleagues congratulated me, sought advice, or quietly asked about openings at Crystalline. Bedford Industries had switched to us, followed by 2 other major Veltrix clients. Crystalline's market share grew 15%, while Veltrix's dropped nearly 20%. Jonah found me at the reception. Congratulations, he said, clinking glasses. Well earned. Thank you for trusting Crystalline, I replied. How's implementation? Ahead of schedule, under budget, he said. Your team is outstanding. So is yours, I said. We discussed future projects before he was pulled away. Eleanor approached, showing me a tablet headline. Veltrix Optics announces layoffs amid market struggles. Gregory had stepped down as CEO, replaced by an interim board chair. I felt no satisfaction, only inevitability. That autumn, I visited my mother at her new care facility, funded by my improved finances. She had a private room in Plano's top rehabilitation center, with daily therapy and advanced treatments. There's my girl, she said, setting aside her book. At 68, her wit and warmth still anchored me. How's the new medication? I asked. Doctor says I'm doing better than expected, she replied. I might move back home by Christmas. That's amazing, Mom. I updated her on my promotion to Vice President of Strategic Accounts at Crystalline, managing 12 sales executives. The Horizon contract had expanded to $3.8 million across 2 additional divisions. You know what your father would say, she said, her eyes softening. Success is sweetest when it's earned honestly, I recited. She nodded. He'd be so proud, Cassandra. Not just for what you've done, but how you've done it. Later, I met Thomas at a coffee shop. He'd left Veltrix and just accepted a sales director role at Meridian Technologies. 15% higher base than Veltrix, better commissions, he said, grinning. I almost thanked Marcus. Being tied to Veltrix now is like a fast pass to their competitors. As I built my career at Crystalline, I occasionally thought of Marcus and the lesson he'd unwittingly taught me. How we treat others shapes not just their path but ours. My victory wasn't in his downfall. It was in thriving despite his attempt to undermine me. The greatest reward was creating my own success on my own terms.